Greetings, air acolytes, and welcome back to Breaking Wind, a Last Avatar, Last Airbender, Last something of the other podcast.
With this,
Yes, I'm word bending. It's my own little skill. Well, we are done with the first season of the animated Avatar. We are done with the sorry, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit with the M Night Shamaylan'ed Avatar. Now we are going to start dissecting lovingly the live action Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix with the first episode, which is, well, it's titled Aang. Just Aang.
Aang.
Aang. At least it's not Ong.
No, not Aang.
They could have called it Ong like a horse, but that would just be pushing the boundaries of good taste a little too far, in my opinion. Yeah. So
I think we should get on with it.
I think we should. So you guys saw what we thought of the entire series as a whole on our other podcast. If you don't agree, you're wrong. If you would like to take a look at that, please do. It is right here on this YouTube channel. Right now, we're just looking at episode 1, Aang. So let's talk about Aang. And Aang happens to start in a very strange way, especially if you are thinking that this is going to be a straight up shot by shot retelling of the animated series. They're telling you right away, no, it is not, because they start 100 years ago. A earthbender is running away from the Fire Nation, and he has news that the Fire Nation is about to attack the earthbenders. And I personally liked this. I liked that the very first scene was something we'd never seen before, something that, we'd heard about, but we'd never seen. And to me, it really set the stage as saying, this is not going to be a retelling. This is going to be a brand new interpretation. I'm cool with that.
And I certainly think if you're coming in for it fresh, I think it's a good way to establish that really what the show at its core is about. It's a wartime movie.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah, show. So, yeah, like, at the end, I think it's. I always like films or entertainment that starts in the middle of an action scene, so It kind of works for me, and it's pretty simple. Straight off the bat, Jace, I just got to say how impressed I was with the earth-bending effects and the fire effects, because they're on display in this opening sequence.
I really enjoyed that too, because to me this opening sequence was very efficient in the way that, one, it introduces you to the powers that these people have, and two, it also introduces you to the fact that this is not Earth. This is some weird alien planet or some kind of weird fantasy world out there, because you're seeing all these strange creatures, but you're also seeing the familiar. You're seeing architecture that we have here in our world. You're seeing people that we have here in our world, but we're also seeing powers and animals that we don't. So I give them props for this introduction. And then we meet Evil Santa, Fire Lord Sozin, who was the Fire Lord during the extermination of the Airbenders, and when the Fire Nation attacked, then everything changed. Fire Lord Sozin is he's a scary guy. He's a very scary guy. He's like if Osama bin Laden and Santa Claus had a baby.
Did we see him in the first season, Jace, in the animated series?
I don't believe we did. If we did, it was a very brief flashback. Yeah. You definitely do see him later on in the series. I think you see him in the second season. I'm pretty sure you do. If not, definitely the third season. Because the comet is named after him. Sozin's Comet. Like, that just tells you how entitled the Fire Nation is. He just looks up in the sky, sees a comet, and says, "That's mine. I called it." So, again, in a great departure from the animated series, we then go to the Southern Air Temple, where we meet our boy Aang. Aang here, played by a fantastic little actor who I think really captured the spirit of this. And if you can't tell, I am stretching things out because I forgot to bring.
Look him up. I'm just trying to find his name.
Yeah, I forgot to bring up who was who in this series. But
Gordon
this is
Cormier.
Yes.
Young Gordon.
Gordon Cormier.
We apologize, Gordon.
Yeah, sorry, Gordon. You're just going to be Aang from now on, because I can't call Aang. I can call Aang Gordo. Yeah. See, Gordo sounds like a name Aang would take if Aang was going undercover. Like, I'm not Aang, call me Gordo. And then dramatic pose. Sokka says, we're not calling you that. But yeah, I think Gordon Cormier did a great job as Aang. Definitely captured whenever he was allowed to. Let me put it that way. Captured Aang's fun, goofy nature when he was allowed to, which.
I'd already read comments about people being upset at that particular scene that you showed just then, about the fact that it's not something that we were familiar with in the animated. They kind of fly by himself.
Well, he's not flying.
He's kind of gliding, falling gracefully.
He's gliding.
Right?
He's falling with style, as they say in Toy Story. And it is he does in the animated series. If you look, anytime he falls, he always, and then he catches himself. I mean, come on. The first episode, he sneezes and rockets 10 feet up in the air. Don't tell me he didn't do this stuff. Do these people even watch the animated series?
I don't know. I just think they may have watched it 15 years ago and forgot massive chunks of it. I don't mind it because it shows, like you said, elements of joy in innocence and childlike behavior, which is always one of the strengths of the animated series, when Aang was still able to be a kid occasionally.
Yes, and I enjoy that. I enjoy anytime that this show has joy in it, because it just does not happen. It doesn't happen as much as it should, in my opinion. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's talk about one of the 10 for 10 castings they have in this show. Monk Gyatso right here. I don't have the actor's name, but perfect casting. He looks the part. He's very warm. He's just a lovely, lovely character. And I honestly think that this is one of the, I'm not going to say few times, because it does happen a couple of times, but this is one of the few times that I think that the live action series actually eclipses the animated series. And that is the characterization of Gyatso and his relationship with Aang, because the two in the animated series, you do see a lot of flashbacks to them, and they were friends and they were buds. But Gyatso was shown as kind of a goof off too. Here he is more of a mentor and a father figure. And
I think it was an absolute strength of this. It's the best relationship in this episode is those two, because you feel the bond, right?
Yes, I agree. The bond between these two was strong, even though they directly steal an entire scene from Man of Steel. Did you notice that?
Oh no, it didn't. Remind me.
Can't we just pretend that you're my friend?
Oh yes,
your friend Aang. No, that's Man of Steel. You can't lift a scene like that and have us
distracted by the tornado behind him at the time.
Yeah, you know. At least Gyatso didn't go out in a tornado. You know, no, stay there, Aang. Don't save me. I'm an airbender. I can stop it. No, Aang, don't. I'm so tired of living. Oh my gosh. Oh, got dark there for a minute. Great visuals. We have the air nomads all coming together to celebrate the Great Comet Festival, which, oh my gosh, that is just lovely. That is lovely right there.
It is.
I really thought that was an interesting plot device, because, you know, in the animated series, you just assume that the Fire Nation just went around just like killing all the airbenders wherever they found them. But no, they were actually very smart, because they let all the airbenders gather and then they proceeded to mow them down with a weed whacker, which I thought was
dumb question number 75.
Oh, I'm used to them.
Why is everybody celebrating a night that they should know that makes them very vulnerable?
Well, because they really had no reason to be afraid. Now, they certainly heard rumblings that the Fire Nation was going to be attacking at that point. But honestly, I don't know. Did they ever even, in this series at least, did they ever even say that Sozin's Comet makes the Firebenders more powerful? Or was it just...
No. I mean, they don't, but I didn't know whether it should have been implied or not. Or even in the animated series, like, they're aware of it before it happens. Yeah, because if it was me and I knew the Fire Nation, which basically makes it the purge for them, they're going to go crazy every 100 years for a night.
Yep.
I'd be in full defense mode.
Yep. Everybody turn on the sprinklers, make the lawn wet. Bring in the dog. You know how those Fire Nation morons get every 100 years. Grandma's tushy still hasn't cooled down yet.
Oh, Grandma.
Grandma. Gran. Oh my gosh. Anyway. So anyway, the Jedi Council is called into session, and they refuse to give Monk Gyatso the rank of master. But yeah, they know Aang's the Avatar. Everybody knows Aang's the Avatar. Everybody knows except for Aang. And so Gyatso sets him down and says, hey,
on your bike, son.
Yeah.
On your bike, off you go.
Yeah. You gonna go now.
You're on your own, kid.
No pack, but we're minimalists, so you don't have to pack nothing.
Yeah.
Very good scene. Like I said, I really liked the actor who played Gyatso. I'm looking for his name here in the stunning cast of characters here.
It's a tough scene for that actor to pull off, though.
Here he is. Lim K-Siu. Lim K-Siu played Monk Gyatso. So 10 out of 10 casting on that one. I enjoyed him very much.
Particularly that scene. It's a really hard scene to pull off too, because he's friends with him. There's obviously a bond together.
Yes.
And basically has to tell him, mate, you no longer have a place here. You have to leave.
You belong
and look
to
this
the
kid
world
in the
now.
eye. He goes, I don't want to go anywhere. My friends, my family, all the sky. He's going to feed all the sky boys.
Sorry, your bunk is already an Airbnb. You have to go. Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, but anyway, where did it go? Aang, upset, goes to see his best friend Appa, which number one, love. Another 10 out of 10 casting. That makeup job must have been just a pure nightmare.
Yeah.
Could you imagine getting all that stuff glued to your face right there? Yes. The Appa special effect. It's not perfect. You can tell it's a special effect. I mean, obviously, it's a gigantic.
But it still works for me.
But it works because to me, it's still saying we're still in a quasi cartoon at this point, and I go for it because none of these special effects are. None of them. I mean, this is lovely, but yeah, that's obviously like low res CGI right there. But I still love it. Still love it.
And I mean, there's a lot of this series, let's be honest about it, that is definitely shot in the AR space background.
Oh, yes.
But it's all good. Like, to me, it's all good because the colors and how they visually represent Avatar, for me, I think visually, like backdrops and all that, is almost perfect.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is a virtual set right here, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But it looks great. And like I said, we said this over on Captain Squadron the other day. There are some people who know how to use AR walls, and there's some people who don't. And I don't know if this is an AR wall or it's a green screen, but some people don't know how to use green screens either. I thought it looked really good. So yeah, it's a quasi cartoon. It doesn't have to be perfect. There's that threshold of believability there. It's fine. I'm cool with it. Speaking of opposite, anyway, Aang takes off because he's just decided, no, I don't want my bunk to be an Airbnb. I don't want to be the Avatar. I don't want to eat my vegetables. I don't want to brush my teeth. So he takes off, which is fortunate because everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. This is a weird shot. You really look at
it. It's a weird shot, dude. It really is. It's just
it looks like it's a virtual actor.
It does, because his expression is pretty well like it shouldn't be like that. Should be one of horror.
I don't know. It's like that. It's like that meme of Harry Kim getting shot by a phaser and he's doing this. That reminds me of. It's like everything's fine. This is okay.
Everything's fine.
I'm okay with it. But,
hey man, anyway, I'll tell you what,
Fire Nation
brutal scene, like you just showed there.
It is, yes. Again, differentiating this series from the animated series in the best possible way at this point. I've made it clear. I don't think that this series is perfect. Sorry, I got the hiccups. But I really like this. I like that it's differentiating itself. And this is why this scene hurts more. Is because we know Gyatso at this point. And we love the guy. And we're watching him just get roasted. And I don't mean like your mama's so fat the back of her neck looks like a pack of weenies. I mean, he's getting roasted like a turkey.
Like, ding, he's
And,
done.
yeah, and he's
Yeah.
failing in it to protect children too, and that's the worst part, is that those kids are next, and we don't see that part, and I kind of wanted to see that.
I didn't have a problem. I didn't have a problem with that. I like that they put the stakes. Like, they really amp it up into a darker place, and I go, yeah, instinct would say, oh, you should go that. Well, I don't know. I've watched the animated series. They dealt with some very dark subject matter and showed some very horrific things. And yeah, the slaughter was there to emotionally intensify the suffering of his kingdom. I was in.
And to me, I think that one of the I don't want to say a failing, because I honestly think Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of the most perfect series that has ever been done. But I think that one of the things that they did not do was really show us how, I mean, aside from the pile of skeletons, which by that point it had already happened, they were like overgrown and everything. Oh, this is ancient history. But it never really showed us the true horror of a genocide, basically, which again, it's a cartoon show. It's not going to do that. But it did go to some dark places. I mean, you really ain't seen nothing yet. There's an
Yeah.
episode with coming up, I think, third season, where you're just like, oh, oh,
Okay.
no. I don't want to say any more about it, but you'll know when it gets here. So,
Ugh.
Aang goes down in the dark, and he's
Yeah.
in the ocean. And, you know, this usually doesn't work well with people underwater. Just ask any billionaire who rented a private sub in the last couple of years. Aang goes into the Avatar state, which is basically a feral, all-powerful person who, you know, is going to just mess everybody up, and does this, and we flash to white, and we're done with the first act.
He becomes Ice Bubble Boy.
He does. He becomes Bubble Boy.
Yeah.
Then we jump forward 100 years, and we meet Katara, played by Momoa. Oh no, that's the wrong actress. I apologize. Kia Wentilo Tarbell.
Can I just say, wasn't clear enough. They should have put something on the screen to indicate it was 100 years later.
Maybe they wanted that to be a surprise to people who weren't familiar with the show.
But it's not an important enough surprise for me. I think at this stage, if you're world building, you know, because you're making this for everyone, just not the Avatar fans, then we kind of need to know things fairly clearly in the beginning. So when you make more things complex later on, we're more comfortable with it. So I thought that was a big kind of, because my wife, for example, was like, I don't get it. What's going on? How far is it? And then we're going to wait for Gram.
Yeah. I'm going to narrate the opening monologue of a television show for you.
We're not breaking the fourth wall at all.
You remember Avatar? Remember that show? You liked that show, don't you?
You think you're going to get it in the beginning, though, don't you? Because they do the live action elements of the movements, and they start to feel like they start going to do the intro, and then they kind of pull back and go in a different
direction. Do something different. And again, that's fine. That's fine. We'll get to Grand's monologue here in just a minute. But as we were saying, here is Katara, and here is Sokka. We said it before. Sokka, Ian Owsley, 10 out of 10 casting on this character.
They somehow sucked out all the animation cells and turned him to a real life Sokka.
Which, again, is kind of amazing, because whenever they were sucking all the animation cells out, they sucked out 90% of the fun. Because there's very little jokiness, very little sarcasm. But Ian Owsley, he outacts the script, in my opinion. And he brings those elements back the best he can. So again, another 10 out of 10 casting right here. Not taking anything away from Miss Tarbell here. I think she does the best with the very little that she's given, because Katara in this season, in my opinion, was basically furniture. They did not.
She was treated like a second-tier henchman.
Exactly. And I am very upset about that, because all of the good Katara moments from the first season are absent. All of them. All of her growth, everything. And whenever she does have growth, it's weirdly truncated. Like, oh, that's okay. We need a Mary Sue for this. I don't really think she was a Mary Sue, but it's that whole, we need a Mary Sue for this scene to be right all the time. Or, to be wrong. Right.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, she is the real motivating factor early on in this story. It's her heart, her drive, her early belief in Aang, and it's really just not done with really any depth at all. It's all very beef, away you go. And yeah, unlike Sokka, Sokka kind of is Sokka straight off the bat. He's trying to protect the village. He's snarky and annoying like he was in the first episode of the animated. Because if you remember back in our first review, I said, I can't stand him. He is annoying as
And
anything. He's just a bully.
I knew that he was being one of your favorites too. I just knew it. Speaking of let's go to somebody else who's also noticed that we've had a time jump, and that is our boy Zuko, played by Dallas J. I want to say I don't think he's a 10 out of 10. He's like a 9.5 out of 10. And I don't think it's his fault. It's just that the intensity of Zuko is not there yet. I think he got close a couple of times, but never really got there. But I'm going to say, for what he was given, I think he did a great job.
Look, I'm only reinforcing what my initial reaction was to Zuko, and I really like this guy. I think, and I'm sure it's an age thing, but if I was to be critical about anything, it's just a bit baby-faced. Little bit, tiny little bit baby, but he's got to grow into the role, I assume.
He's supposed to be 16 in the cartoon series. So, I mean, that's...
okay. Yeah.
And,
no, that's 16-year-old for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought he was supposed to be in his young 20s.
Oh, no. He's 16. And Aang is supposed to be 12, and Katara is supposed to be like 13. Zuko's supposed to be like 14 or 15. I mean, these are young kids, so I got no problem. I got no problem with little baby Zuko right there.
You know what I do have a problem with this episode with him, though, if I can just say? It's the fact that he doesn't verbalize his rage enough.
No.
It's all done with, I'm going to give you the stink eye, and I'm going to shoot eternally.
That's the script. It's not the actor.
The direction, and the script.
Yeah. There's also one of the things that I think makes Zuko such a great antagonist is that he is a multi-layered character. He is ruthless, but he keeps his word. He is dastardly, but he's got this sense of honor about him as well. And unfortunately, we haven't seen that with this Zuko as well. I'm really hoping that the people who make this series are listening to the feedback, because to me, I think the feedback has been largely positively critical. I think that there has been a few people who are just like, get to the show, get to the actors. There's been those people, but overall, people are just like, yeah, this was good, but here's how it could be better.
And look, I agree 100%. I mean, like, with him, it's just, it's a tough role to kind of, and you do have to, and again, it's on our other review, but they do lack in that. I think his arc, it was there, but it's not sold hard enough. And you're kind of seeing bits of that already seeded in the first episode. They go close, but I ain't go all out with him.
I agree. Speaking of our other show, which we talked about the season-long arc, we're going to come to our biggest point of contention here. Because we're going to talk about Uncle Iroh. My opinion, Paul Sun-Hyung Lee, who I think is just great. I love him in The Mandalorian and all of the other Star Wars series that he appears in. But I hated him in this. I hated him as Uncle. Absolutely none of the compassion, none of the empathy, none of the warmth. I feel like he just walked through the role with a stick of teaser. We must find the Avatar. Hey, yes, we must find the Avatar. He sounds like me whenever I'm making fun of misspelled signs. Yes, we have to find Aang. Did not get any. I don't know. To me, it was both a failure of writing and a failure of the actor as well. This is going to be one of the few times I'm going to point the finger at the actor and say, "This was you, my friend. This was you."
Wow. Wow. Well, as in the other review, I couldn't disagree more. I actually thought that some of
Loud.
the writing was lacking, but I was in with his interpretation of Eero. I felt the warmth. I felt the sincerity. I thought he did a great job. I really did. He is actually one of the strengths of the series for me personally. Because he does the mere times, even when he meets Aang in the jail in this episode, and you're the Avatar and all that kind of thing. I'm gonna bring you some green tea because it's soothing, and that felt like something Uncle Iroh would do. So I don't know. I thought he was
That
great.
did feel like something Iroh would do, but it was, I am going to bring you some tea because that is in the script, and that's what I'm going to. I'm gonna say that what I said last time. The M Night Shyamalan Iroh was better.
Wow. No, I can't. No, I cannot agree with that at all. At all, cannot
I'm
agree
not
with
proud
that.
to say that.
I would like to hear what the people out there what they thought of Paul's interpretation of Uncle Iroh, but Eero, whoever. What was he?
But yes, I am very interested to hear what our audience thinks. I mean, am I correct in my accurate assessment, or is Jason correct in his whatever he wants to call it? Just leave a comment below and just make the right choice. Moving on. Sorry, I got some schmutz in my.
It must
So
be the soot from the Fire Nation.
yeah. Well, we actually do have a really terrible, horrible fire up in the panhandle of Texas right now. And so it is making its way down here, and it is.
Well, I hope everyone's safe.
I hope everyone is safe, guys. Stay safe. Listen to the authorities. Just stay out of it, please.
Yeah. And this
So
podcast.
let us. Yes. Yeah. Watch it.
Listen to this podcast. Yeah.
Yes, please do. Join my Patreon. Anyway, Sokka and Katara decide to go fishing as M Night Shyamalan. They go out looking for food so that their village can have food because food is food and food. They go out looking and they find Aang in an iceberg. I had a better picture of this, but StreamYards didn't like it, apparently. That's okay. They
Now,
find Aang in an iceberg and pops out like a zit. And of course, they decide, we got to save this kid because he was standing like this a second ago and it was terrifying.
Is that how it happened in the animated series by her moving, trying to get the boat back? Is what was the.
Sokka was being a misogynist, which he's not a misogynist in the series, which honestly I find a bit disappointing because it gives him no room for growth. She was like yelling at him, and every time she stomped her foot, she would like water bend and it broke the ice.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. I like that.
And I also think they had a real missed opportunity here because the scene of when it does crack up, we get a whole scene where he wakes up and on the iceberg, when they find him, he wakes up and they have a whole interaction and we get, but in this, it cuts straight back to the village.
Yeah. Do you want to go penguin sledding with me? I loved that. I love the fact that he's like instantly this goofball. But of course, we can't be goofy in live action. We can't be fun in live action. We can't have joy in live action, apparently.
Well, could someone please tell the makers of One Piece that you're not allowed to be? Because they were.
Well, what the heck? It's like, no, we have to be serious with Avatar. We can't have fun in Avatar. Meanwhile, I can't remember his name. Luffy is like blowing himself up like a balloon and deflecting cannonballs.
Yeah.
Avatar actually did better than One Piece did in watch figures, apparently. So
actually, there's an example. There's an example in the Omashu episode when we get to that actually gets me angry the more I think about it.
Oh, yes.
Them throwing away an opportunity for goofiness.
Yes, I get it. So Aang is brought to the Southern Water Tribe. And he seems to like it at first. This is kind of like the last little bit of curiosity and joy he gets before he gets like reality dropped on him. Sokka is of course suspicious, and Katara's just like, oh, get off his back. It's fine. They go to the temple hut, which this there's lots of virtual sets in this series, but I want to call attention to how good this set looks. Look at that.
Okay. It looks beautiful, but it also raises another question for me. If you're going to have such beautiful architecture there, the rest of you guys are living in dumps.
Okay, look, support beams.
Housing must be expensive. Yeah.
No, look at the support beams.
Yeah, they're like from a mammoth or something, right?
Yeah, they're whale bones. I love that. Yeah, that's one of those details they'd never call attention to until you look at a stuff like this. Like, okay. Some people like this. I found it kind of cringy. Earth, air, water, fire.
I liked it.
The Fire Nation, and that all changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
They got it in there.
They got it in there, but to me, it was done kind of cringe.
I have to pause for a sec again.
So Katara and Aang go to the ruined Fire Nation vessel, and Aang. Apparently, you can teach someone how to waterbend more effectively just by saying a sentence to them. Yeah.
Okay. It's here, isn't it? Early on, how poorly this whole thing is treated throughout the series.
Yeah,
is the whole learning from each other. Oh,
yeah, it was that was super cringe, unfortunately.
Yeah, this is where I ate the fly in the soup moment for me. Was like, so far I'm okay. It's like, oh no.
Yeah. So yeah, I think this is one of the main problems with this first episode is that they try to cram so much into this first episode, because to me, the pacing was stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. And they were focusing way too much on things they shouldn't have been focusing on and neglecting things they should have been focusing on. And I'm just going to say it. This first episode felt like it was 3 hours long. Just tedious at some points.
I must admit, I did press pause about halfway through thinking, is this nearly over?
Yeah. I mean, I was rewatching this earlier today, and I paused it at one point and I looked, I'm like, there's still 35 minutes left? How is that possible? This should be over by now. But we are going to get something that's going to get the plot going, and that is our boy Zuko. Dun, 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 dun. I do like the
boat is straight out of the animated series, basically, for my mind. The boat is gorgeous.
Yeah. So Zuko shows up and is like, hey, you're going to come with me, buddy? I'm not your buddy. I'm not your friend, buddy. I'm not your buddy, guy. I'm not your guy, friend. I'm not your friend, guy. So, anyway. That's Canadian.
That's fucking good. Sorry. I shouldn't swear. It was that funny. Anyway, go on.
So, yeah, Zuko rolls up and he's like, give us the Avatar. And then we do get our scene of Sokka going after Zuko, which
is great, because it's a no-win scenario, but he shows his bravery in the moment.
Like, oh yeah,
very honorable.
I'm going to come after you, and nothing can go wrong. Oh no, everything went wrong
in like 5 seconds.
That is one of the things I do love about Sokka, is that he is brave. He is brave. He has his faults, but he's brave. And again, one of the best castings in here, going up against another great bit of casting here. So,
mind you, you can't blame him for his initial instinct to go, right, well, let's get Aang.
No, that's
because that's his job. As he says, it's my job to protect us.
Yeah, he's keeping the tribe safe, and to keep the tribe safe against an unbeatable enemy, all we got to do is sacrifice a kid. That's probably why they don't have many kids in this tribe anymore. Probably not the first time this has happened. Fire Nation shows up. We're here to take over. What are you doing? Oh, this is a kid. Why are you giving us a kid? We give you a kid and you go away. I don't know what to do with this. Are you my new daddy? Well, we were going to strap explosives to him, but we don't have any, so just take the kid. Oh dear Lord, that's a good thing they don't let me watch. They don't let me write television. So we do get an Iroh scene.
Which I like. I will defend the scene. I like the scene.
It's not bad. It's not bad. I have a problem with the performance, but it's not bad. It does show us a sliver of who Iroh is, because he is courteous and he is curious, because he
Well,
wants the Avatar.
well, the only criticism I'd have of that scene is Uncle Iroh not giving Aang a straight answer, where he said, "Why did you guys start the war?" Because he didn't really give him a straight answer, right?
Because my grandfather was kind of a jackass. That's why. I don't know. Would you like some green tea? Excuse me. Oh,
it's quite soothing.
My back moved a little bit and it took me by surprise. Excuse me, I'm going to go get our tea. Yeah. All right, sorry. I hope Paul's not watching this, because I really do like him.
Yeah, I actually spewing with his. I loved his performance so much that I'm spewing. We never got the mud bath scene with him.
We would have had a nude Paul if we'd done that.
Yeah,
which is fine. Give something to the ladies and a certain percentage of guys out there. That's fine. It's just, I don't know. I do kind of regret that too, because it was fun. It was fun. Come join me. It's fun. Come on. I'm not getting into a hot tub with my naked uncle. It's not happening again.
And there's a running theme that the girls think he's cute. They like him. The girls.
Oh, like him. Yeah. Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves with that, though. We'll come to we get
bring
to
it back.
Crazy Star Nose Mole Lady. Anyway, Sokka and Katara, here we come to save the day. They're coming to get Aang, but Aang's already broke out because he airbended the key to himself. Because, who would have thought that an airbender would airbend?
Shocking,
I know. He finds a book inside of Zuko's quarters. I'm assuming he found other books, but they were a little too naughty for him.
Which he steals.
He steals, yes, but you know what? It's information he needs. And
it is.
Zuko stole him first, so I think he can steal a book. I think Aang is okay in that regard.
It's kind of transactional, way. You keep me prisoner, I steal your book, and I get out.
Exactly. But Aang takes the opportunity to Aang on out, and we get this kind of a cool...
he's Aang gliding.
Oh, my
God. Like, come on, dude. He's Aang gliding. We can end the show now, because you ain't getting better than that.
That type of humor is all wrong.
That felt good. All right.
Wrong. But we do get that cool scene, and we get this last-minute save on Appa again. Anything with Appa is perfect in my book. Hey, that's another 10 out of 10 casting right there. I don't know where that actor came from, but he's... And we do get a glimpse of the intensity from Zuko here that I wish we'd have seen more, because that's just pure hatred coming out of his eyes.
Yeah, but yeah, I want to see him like just losing his mind,
Yeah, I hope we get to see that too. Hello. Okay. A cat who wants in, and then I open up the door and she runs away. So in the series attempt to squeeze as much into this episode as possible, now we're at the Southern Air Temple. Lando is waiting for them, apparently. Yeah. And Aang goes on he's Aanging out in his old place.
Maybe he's got some anger management.
I'm sure he's got a few Aang ups about that. But watch out, because you won't like him when he's angry.
This is turning into a dad joke podcast. Oh no.
He looks like One Punch Man right there.
He does a little bit.
He does. I love that. But I'm getting into myself, because first of all, we have to really give props to Gyatso here, because he's found himself a killer weight loss program.
Yeah. That seemed a bit much and a bit Goonies for me. It was like, really? It's just... we have to have skeletons like that. It's such a Hollywood skeleton, isn't it?
Okay, listen. Fake sets, fake wigs, fake beards, fake skeleton. I'm okay. Yeah. Everybody's complaining about the hair, and I'm just like, have you seen where they're standing? It looks like this. Yes, Aang becomes angry and goes the Avatar state and basically becomes an unstoppable blowing machine.
Which makes him, which always said to me in the animated series, and I think it sells to me makes him extremely dangerous in the wrong circumstances.
It does.
He is a threat to the planet.
He is.
Take him out.
He is basically a weapon. He is the Iron Giant right now. I don't want to be a gun, but if you point a gun at me, I'm going to kill you. But that's fine because we do get this really good scene, I thought, afterwards, of him just basically having a breakdown. And Katara.
I did like that moment.
I don't think that. I mean, it was in the animated series, but this one, to me, just felt more real, I guess. And then to close out the episode, we get a nice little monologue from Aang, and we get one last look at Zuko hanging up a picture of Aang, which is directly from the TV show, by the way. And
yes,
he turns the fire on his hands, which to me is just around that much paper, probably not a good idea. But
yeah, not
he's
a good idea.
You don't care.
Well, okay, that moment where we get the voiceover from Aang, though, can I just say, not great dialogue.
Not
and
really.
It's only just the beginning, and I'm like, oh god. Oh, God, that was such a bad line reading. It was such a bad line to be even written on a page.
Yeah, there are definitely dialogue problems with this series. I'm going to be honest. As far as a premiere, this was just not good. I really liked the first act that took place at the Southern Air Temple 100 years ago. And then after that, it just seemed like, how much stuff can we cram into this episode? And was off.
It's a real shaking.
Yeah,
it shook. I mean, I think anybody who watched this episode, who watched the animated series after this, you are shaking around a bit because you're going like, wait a minute, what have I? It feels kind of close to episode 1 in some ways, like in that feeling of it's going to be amazing. And then you're in shock going, what did I just watch? I don't know what I'm processing. Did I like it? Did I hate it? I don't know where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I'm afraid that that's where it is too. I mean, certainly not terrible. We're nowhere near M Night Shyamalan territory right now. And everybody who's saying that we are is just exaggerating just to be an
There is no Wahlberg in sight.
No Wahlberg, no hidden M Night cameo. But at the same time, not great. Definite problems. Definite promise. It's kind of a 50-50 mix at this point.
So. It's a real misstep start. I think, it's not a good sign when your show now has to build back up the trust in the audience. And that's just where, you almost want to say, Jason, if they were going to make the changes that they felt they had to make, early on wasn't the time to do it. I think the first episode should have been almost a remake of the first couple of episodes of Avatar. We should have just done that. Then start to introduce your changes. Too many changes too early on. Clunky dialogue. Questionable performances.
I disagree. I think that their problem with this episode was that they should have split it up into 2 episodes. They should have had everything everything pre-Snowball, had that to be the premiere, and then picked up the second episode with the Southern Water Tribe and had everything after that.
Which is you could have done it because you could have turned this into a 22 episode, 18, 20 episode series. You could have done it. I can't imagine why there would have been budgetary issues with that because you're really just cutting. Okay, cost a little bit more in editing. But that's probably really about it, isn't it? The thing goes for over an hour.
Yeah. And who knows? Maybe since this thing has had huge success, maybe they'll give it a little bit more of a budget. We can get 10 episodes next season.
You know what? No. I'm calling out the internet for a fan edit of this show. And I bet you it's in the works.
Yes. And every scene from the M Night Shyamalan version that you can sneak into it, you will have a sliver of my respect.
Well, I don't want to jump all the way to the end, but there's one character right at the end of the third act. You could swap her out, and I wouldn't have an issue. She may have white hair or grey hair.
Oh, yes. Yes, we have to have phallic hair.
We can swap her out, no problems.
It's okay. I love you, Aang. No, I'm sorry. Sokka, I love you. I love you, Sokka. Sokka. I'm the moon, Sokka. Sokka, where are you going? I
Brings the pain.
The
you only make my suffering worse.
Oh, I know. Okay, so I think that just about ends this premiere episode of the live action recap with a bang. Please join us for all of our fun stuff that we do here on the Jason Roy Gaston YouTube channel. Of course, the home of the VHS Vault, the home of the Power of J Skull, the home of Jason Watches, and the home of Breaking Wind, and of course, my friend VHS Jace. I can never remember which direction to point. My friend VHS Jace, making a name for himself on TikTok right now. His channel is fantastic. Check it out. Yeah,
that's good. Thank you very much. It's kind of there. Stay for the fun, and it's good. It's all about going back in time, isn't it? And being reminded. In fact, in a way, I'm really kind of stealing off one of your great TikTok series is toys that you didn't get from the 80s that your parents you're still dirty about. I know I stuffed that line up, but
you screwed that up so bad.
I love them. They're one of my favorite series that you do on your TikTok is that one, just because it's like I either went, yeah, man, how come I didn't get that? Or, oh my God, I haven't remembered that for 30 years. Or, man, Americans have weird toys.
They haunt me. Even today, they haunt me. If you would be so kind, please check out the video description below and find out how you can become a Patreon of this channel. You can become a Patreon for only $5 a month, which is honestly less than the budget of the Megamind sequel. So that's fine.
Yes, please go.
And with that, we will see you next week right here on Breaking Wind, a Last Avatar podcast, here on the Jason Roy Gaston YouTube channel.
You know, the idea of this, doing this, and the actual execution of it, I didn't realize it'd have to be so painful.
Yeah.
But I am a committed man, so I'm here.
Yeah, you know, it'll be fine. It gets better as it goes along. It does get better.
I'm joking. It does get better.
Just remember, Kaiju Aang is right around the corner.
So please keep watching, guys. It's going to get fun.